I mean, last year I played against LG a lot. Like, it was probably the main American team I played, and I think we beat them most of the times.
I did see them play at Birmingham, and I saw they're just very fast. They are a very quick team, and they'll be in your face the whole entire time, and they'll make plays to constantly have map control.
I think what makes them such a good team is just their raw, like, just slaying power. Like, they've got Saints, who's just like, he can just win you a game instantly. Octane's like, at the start of last game, he was like the best player, like when they won the first event.
I think Josh brings a lot more to the table than people really realize. He's just taught the guys teamwork, and he's taught them how to play as a unit and how to work together.
It's more just got to play our own game. Like, we know when we can beat anyone, like we've proven it.
When we're slaying and we're getting hype, I think that's like when we're really at our best point, because we can compete with every team.
Welcome back. We got another NA versus EU battle going down. It is day one here, week 3 of the Call of Duty World League GPL, and we're about to see LG, a squad that has been around the top. They haven't won any tournaments yet, though, in Infinite Warfare, trying to make a big statement here, going up against Epsilon, who won the most recent All-European battle. I'm joined at the desk now. We got Chance, who was on the telestrator earlier. He's sitting next to TP and Felony, who will be here all weekend long. And Chance, to kick this one off, I want to get your thoughts on these two teams. Tell me specifically about Luminosity, because this is a squad that has finished as high as 4th, but a lot of people have always said since day one, this team could be one of the best, if not the best in the game.
The story for LG, amazing slaying power. Honestly, might be the best slaying team in the game, at least for the respawns, but their S&D is absolutely horrendous. Back at Dallas had something like a 30% win ratio. So it's one of those things that they have a very obvious train of thought of what they're looking to accomplish at this event. Fix the search and destroy, and they're going to be golden, because again, the respawn is already set.
Everyone talks about the firepower of this squad. We'll see how strong they are in the respawn game modes, but it's probably going to come down to some search and destroys. And Epsilon, this is a squad that impressed a lot of people a few weeks ago going up against Splice. They converted back-to-back sweeps in the grand finals. TP, break it down for me. For anyone who hasn't seen success from this squad because they've struggled in North America, what did they do right in Birmingham?
Just overall speed and the fact that they were able to get a 6-0, that doesn't happen very often, and it takes a lot of overall composure, and I think that's what Josh brings to this team overall. The fact that they can clutch up in all those close game scenarios. It's not like the 6-0 was a complete wipeout either. A lot of those games going down to tense situations where they have to make those clutch plays. They do it time and time again. I think if they can get themselves to those clutch scenarios versus LG here, they probably have a lot of success.
And you know, to talk about those clutch plays as well, the Hardpoint scores for both Series 1 and Series 2 were both within like 7 points. It was like 250, 245, and then 250, 243. So if you're clutching up, you're going against the best team in Europe, and you do it back-to-back. Very impressive stuff.
We talked about LG's strength. Tell me, as we take a look at the maps, they'll be the same as what we just saw in our previous series. Felony, who do you give the edge in each of these game modes?
I think for the Hardpoints, Luminosity is definitely going to outslay and take both of them. The key for Epsilon's success here is going to be to take both search and destroys and then the uplink. As far as the uplink is concerned, I feel like both teams have an even chance to win that. But as long as Epsilon takes their search and destroys, I think that it could go their way.
So you think it's got to go to a Game 5 for Epsilon to win this?
Another Game 5.
TP, you want to give me a prediction before this kicks off?
Let's go Epsilon in a Game 5. I'm feeling crazy today.
And what about you, Chance?
I think Luminosity takes it in 3 or 4.
We're going to have to see how it all plays out. Game number 1 is ready. Let's send it over to our casters. We got Maven with Mr. X.
Great stuff, gentlemen. Okay, I was talking to you. You know, we heard the desk talk about the struggles for LG in search, and I think you said you're like, if they can just win like 35%,
40%,
a couple more searches, man. They're basically finishing top 3, top 4 all year.
I mean, there's 70% plus win rate in their respawn game modes. I know Hardpoint and Uplink, they're fantastic in those. As long as they win, you know, if they win the game to S&D, they'd be 3-0ing people left and right.
I mean, without question. Yeah. I mean, I think they're maybe the team you look at with like the most upside out of anyone that just could go from a top 8 finishing type team to just all of a sudden you're seeing them in like grand final after grand final if they could just fix that. But I know, you know, talking to Pac-Man and some guys about, you know, why that team struggles, he's like, you know, the reasons that they're so good in respawn is the reason they struggle in search, man.
Well, their mid-game decision-making in S&D is really poor. I think that's kind of where their S&D game falls off. They don't have anybody who can kind of like make those calls in the mid-round and kind of come out and top consistently. I think that's where they fall there. But in respawn, talking in this series, it's going to be very hard for Epsilon to keep up. You're going to be looking at Dave. Maybe he steps up, can kind of guide them to a victory in a respawn game mode. still, I find it very difficult to believe that they're going to be able to hang with LG in the respawns.
You know, talking to Dave last night, he came on hot mic with me and we chatted a little bit about Josh coming onto this team. I was like, what's the biggest thing he gives to you? And he's like, honestly, like those tense moments where things are crazy. Before we had him, a lot of times we would just, you know, our game would speed up in those tense moments, but not necessarily in a good way. He's like, with him now being more of a vocal leader, we slow down and make better decisions come crunch time. And that's how you win those games that Chance was talking about, those 250 to 240 type games. Having somebody say, hey, take a deep breath, we got this, but will it be enough against LG? We are going to be starting off with Octane.
And I think you look at how Epsilon can win this series, it's just one of these first respawns. Like if they can take, obviously provided they win the game 2, if they can take game 1 or game 3, they're in a good position to force this one to go to the distance.
All right, well, Octane off the break, nades out, and he'll be going up over the top, trying to get set up, but Hockey just picks him. Must have been a deep shot coming through there as he basically gets obliterated. But Breakout, and Hardpoint specifically in this game, has been one of my favorite modes. This is one of my favorite maps. We've seen some all-time greats. I mean, just thinking back to the FaZe Rise series last week, this is a map and mode that provides some insane moments.
Yeah, I know it was highly debated at the beginning of the game. The North American players absolutely love this map. They consider this the best hardpoint map, and the European players like, you guys are crazy. Like, they could not stand playing this one. But I think, at least in my opinion, this is my favorite map to watch in terms of hardpoint.
Well, it's turned around a lot. You know, Splice was a team that used to take a lot of flack here, and they've gotten way, way better since the addition of Zero. The roster has improved immensely. But the question is, can Epsilon get it done against the slaying power of Luminosity? The rotation now coming through. Josh getting set up. You see all the blue arrows primed and ready to go here for cell block.
You see Slack coming through the middle. He's going to be able to pick up 3 kills. And now you should see the side of Luminosity really push onto this hardpoint pretty hard. They're trying to find this one player in the back, though. It's holding down the spawn. It's a big gunfight here. Slack's able to win it against Dave, and now you see his team trying to get a pinch going.
You know, I thought they went a little bit too slow for a second when they had that 4v2 advantage, but Slack getting in the back and winning some gunfights gave his team the spawns. They're at back hanger, and now they're set up. Slack, 6-2, a 5 streak to work with off the break, just trying to do some scouting here, push them back. That's one of those rare kills. You don't see that happen too often with the Scarab.
Yeah, I think he had to be tagged up. Octane putting some shots in on the players coming across the wall run, but Slack has been so good this year. 7 streak, currently make it 8 with the Erad. From a distance, he's going to get fully streaked out as we go over to Grave.
Hey, he's got 31 seconds at the hard point already. Fully streaked out. Phenomenal performance from him with this Erad, but he's going to have to wait on the team now to collapse. He wants to streak it out. He got him early. He's going to be able to get them out. He sees Davey, tries to tee him up, has vision on Vortex as well. But Vortex actually pushed through, kills him while he's calling this in, and finds another kill as well. So Epsilon's still holding on.
Yeah, you do see Octane, though, picking up some kills in and around the hard point. Was on a 5 streak there, I believe, before he gets cut down. So although Epsilon, you know, they don't give up a ton of time here to Luminosity just yet, and you do get them to burn a streak. So that is a little bit of a positive.
Talk to me how important that is to, you know, because we say in Hardpoint, you know, maps like this, Retaliation, getting streaks early can win your team a game. How crucial was that for Epsilon to force Slack to pull something out early?
Well, it's huge. I mean, you keep this game close, like later in the game, you know, you're able to hold Graveyard, then you're in a very good spot. I mean, they don't have both those streaks. Should pretty much be a free break for the side of Luminosity, and Epsilon, they actually take the lead there on Graveyard, so they do a fantastic job holding it down, fighting through the streaks. And now they are set up for commissary in a very nice way.
Yeah, you see the number 5 on the minimap. That's going to be Josh set up at the next hardpoint. You have 2 players looking over mid-map, and Davey crushing 5 in a row, 9 and 6 right now. About to tee up another one and loading. Saints able to get away with his life, but you're working on streaks for the other side now. He plays it fast and aggressive, snaps with the NV4. Now 150 off the Trinity rocket before falling at loading.
Getting really aggressive as he was working towards those streaks with the NV4 in the middle of the map. You see Octane pushing on in. Bombardment comes on down. Doesn't pick up anybody. So now you see Saints and Octane inside the hard point. Both of them fall there, like body stacked on top of each other. Really weird plays from Luminosity at the beginning of this one.
So both of your streaks have been used for Slack, and you've gotten nothing out of it. I mean, they kept control at Grave if you're Epsilon. They keep control here at Commissary, and they have the lead. This is brilliant stuff, considering how big you let Slack go. And Slack slowed down. He had an 8 streak, and he's sitting at 9 and 7. So you slow him down a bit. You're racking up a ton of time. This is a nice first set of rotations for Epsilon.
Yeah, the last few seconds of Commissary go to Epsilon, and they have a huge lead here going into the second half. It'll be Luminosity on the hard point. They can pick up some time here at the center hard point, then maybe just get control of cell block, and they're right back in this.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the first hardpoint here has probably been the best for LG so far. They've been beat everywhere else, but it's hockey. Mid-map, getting it done with the NV4 at range. You see on X-Ray, multiple players getting ready to push forward. Nice shots there as he cuts down another one, and the lead continues to grow. This is brilliant play from Epsilon. They're showing early that they can hang in the slaying and in the respawns with Luminosity.
And if they can do that, I mean, this is a very winnable series. It's a very winnable weekend for Epsilon, I mean, quite frankly.
I pick Epsilon second. I felt really good about him. It's just, we talk about how teams have these streaky couple of months in COD. You'll just look hot. You win back-to-back 2Ks. You win at Birmingham. You're coming in with so much confidence, feeling you can beat anyone in the world, and they're showing it here in Game 1.
You see Vortex coming all the way around the outside. They're going to try and pinch on Octane. He's already dead before he can get there. And just like that, it'll be a break for Epsilon here on cell block. It's going to call on the Scarab. Knows there's players around the corner. Needs to get gun up here.
And you're not going to win if you're Luminosity and you have Octane losing kind of that NV4 battle to Davey. Davey's come up with a bunch of sick multi-kills, but as soon as we talk about Octane, he comes through in the kill feed, and now looking to mount up these final 40 seconds, and they'd be right back in it. You're going to have one good 4-man attack for Epsilon to try and get the break here. You see on the minimap, everybody's starting to collapse. The push is going to come forward. Pressure going to be to Slack in the back of the map. He has one below him, trying to locate the kill. Able to get it done as they go back and forth. Slack, oh, shots a bit shaky as Josh able to snap.
And it's going to be Hockey coming in, cleaning up Saints. So the last few seconds of time will go in favor of Epsilon. This rotation is huge. Vortex can kill these players coming out of Cave. This would give Epsilon a ton of time, because now you remember, Luminosity does not have any streaks left.
Yeah, and this is, you know, we get later into this game, this is a time where you really wish you still had those, but it's a clean break again for Epsilon. Vortex with the Erad flying at Luminosity. They're just showing they can slay with them, man. Like, Luminosity, typically, this is where they're going to blow you out. This is where we're going to find all those big kills. You're going to have the teammates going off, but it's been all Epsilon, and Vortex still in the face. Excellent job there, even feeds a team kill to Octane.
Yeah, forces a team kill out on the side of LG, but LG does pick up the kills. They're going to break now. You see Epsilon spawning very far away from the hard point. Octane will use the Scarab here, just trying to push forward, maybe pick up one. But if you're Luminosity, you got to focus on holding the rest of this one. Then you hold Commissary, you can fight right back into it. But I'm very impressed with what I've seen from Epsilon thus far.
I mean, that break could be the difference of the game. In those final 40 seconds, if Epsilon had a perfect hold there, I mean, you're looking at them basically burying LG. They would have had, what, 220 points or so as we went to Commissary yet again. So they're going to get the 10 seconds here. And now it's going to come down to Luminosity trying to hold a Commissary. Saints Classic doing an excellent job holding that back helipad and Snow Street spawn.
Yep, it's going to be all 4 dead for Epsilon. See if Luminosity can take the rest this time. They'd be very close to the Epsilon score if they're able to do so. You see Saints in the middle. Picks up one. He's now working towards streaks, Maven on a 4 streak of his own. 2 players coming right at him. Cuts both of them down. Saints, one more player to find. Can he locate him? He picks him up. Saints on a 7 streak here. Turning up for Luminosity as they're starting to make a comeback.
7 in a row, and streaks are so close. He doesn't get any. If he gets streaks there, you feel really good. But when you look at the scoreline, this has been a perfect hold at Commissary for LG. They fought right back into this game. They're going to give up the final 15 or so seconds as Epsilon finally able to break through. God, you really wish Saints was able to get those streaks. They would have been so huge down the stretch. Epsilon, though, still going to be in control. But it's Classic we're watching here in loading, trying to set up as we now get back to mid-map.
Well, you're getting to the point where if you're Luminosity, you can't afford to give up those last 10, 15 or so seconds. I know, obviously, with Epsilon over the 200 mark. If you're Epsilon, I mean, all you really need to do is hold cell block. And this next rotation, you're in a pretty good shape. See, Classic's going to be able to pick up one. The Hill still in control of Luminosity at this point. It's going to be Slack jumping up onto the hard point. Going to be able to lock it down, and they have spawns for cell block. So Luminosity set up very good right now.
And that's the scary part too. I mean, LG's getting the time, and they also have the favorable spawn for the rotation, where they could technically win it if they have a perfect hold. You saw the number 4 just pop up. That's Classic in the back. They continue to spawn at that back hanger. So now the pressure is going to come through. If Epsilon can win some gunfights as they rotate across, they can tilt this game in their favor. But it's Octane in the backside still getting it done.
Going to be 2 kills, though, in favor of Epsilon. You see on your mini-map, it'll be Slacked, and I believe it's going to be Vortex for Epsilon here over on cell block. This is a huge gunfight. Vortex just needs to stay alive so the rest of his teammates can get over. He's quickly taken out. And now Luminosity, they have full control. Cell block, they're set up. Hockey, though, gets a big first kill on Saints. Let's see if Epsilon can take advantage of it.
Yeah, with that pick, they need to make a play. They have a 4v3 for the time being, but he spawns up right behind the hard point, so they're going to be able to try to put it in their favor. But Hockey will be in. He knows they're in the back. That Saints coming in with the Scarab, slacked with the melee, and Luminosity still holding. They're trailing by 30 or so points, Matt. There's 30 points left to go. And Cell Block will have all but a tie game. It looks like there's going to be one final wall run push here for Epsilon.
Actually, from the look of the Epsilon arrows, it looked like they were contemplating just rotating through the middle of the map by showers, but those two players going to hit the wall run. The rest are going to start rotating over towards Grave. It's going to be so close going into this next hard point. Classic on a 3 streak. He's the closest one to getting score streaks right now. We'll have to keep an eye as he just picks up his 4th. He does have camo as well.
This camo would be absolutely huge. If he can find a couple of kills here, you should see it popped. And they try to break up over the top, waiting for the group up, and here it is. He's going to go with camo. There's 2 behind Bulldozer. He's going to slide in, find the first. There's a second behind Rock. He does get taken out. Trades going back and forth, but Epsilon still holding on. Slacked and Saints doing what they can from the LG side to get the breakthrough. Nah, shots just a little bit off of the back. Davey still standing up, but the time ticking here for Luminosity.
Such a smart play by Classic. He uses the camo and then doesn't touch the hard point to give the notification that it's going to be contested to the side of Epsilon. Comes in and he's able to pick up 1 kill with it. It's going to be Josh and Vortex, though, in the feed. They go over the top. It's going to be Josh leading the way with the reactive armor. Both teams so close to closing this one out.
3 points away. Can Epsilon do it? LG not able to get in. And that is Europe. And Epsilon stealing the game 1. That is a massive victory here to kick off this series.
And we talked about this one has 5 game potential if Epsilon wins game 1. Going into the S&D in game number 2, you got to worry about LG.
Well, you feel like if you're Epsilon, I'd be like, all right, well, we just guaranteed ourselves a 5th game because they've been good in Search and Destroy. Luminosity's been so bad, and look at the scoreline there. That's exactly the type of victories they were getting over Splice. If you look back to Birmingham, those close games, they come up clutch when it matters most. And if you're slacked right there, if he had those streaks at the end of break, could have proved to be the difference. If Saints finds 1 or 2 more kills and when he went on an 8 streak there, it could be the big difference they need. So the big thing for Epsilon, I mean, it might boil down to the fact that they just got slacked to burn those streaks so early.
Yeah, I mean, he uses the Trinity on the first graveyard, uses the bombardment, I believe, on Commissary. You would have loved to have one of those streaks towards the end. I mean, if he has one of them and they use it with the camo, that's a Luminosity win for game 1.
Yeah, for Epsilon, it's been a bumpy road to this point, but they did sneak into the stage 1 battle here. Let's see how they got here.
Epsilon began the year with the roster of Vortex, Dave, Desire, and Hockey. That roster had been teaming together since May of 2016. Throughout 2016, they grew together and improved together in what culminated in an incredible Cinderella story at the Call of Duty Championships later that year, where they placed 4th under the Fab Games banner. Unfortunately for them, this roster was not able to live up to that placing, though, in Infinite Warfare. This led to the decision to add Splice's Josh to the squad in place of Desire ahead of Dallas. The Epsilon squad came into Infinite Warfare with a new organization, and their confidence and expectations were at an all-time high. However, their inability to play in the first online 2K greatly affected their seeding for the CWL Vegas Open, and resulted in a trip to the open bracket. This, paired with rather lackluster play, resulted in just a top 36 finish at the game's first major event. Their first opportunity of the season to avoid the open bracket was at the CWL Paris Open, where they were able to secure a top 6 finish. But once again on American soil, Epsilon had to fight through the open bracket, failing to make their presence felt in Atlanta with just a top 24 finish.
Epsilon struggling to close this Search and Destroy out.
The new roster featuring Josh would play their first LAN together at the CWL Dallas Open, where they actually blew a 5-1 lead in Game 5 against Set to Destroy X. That put iGame in an advantage to steal their position for the final Global Pro League spot in the EU region. Luckily for Epsilon, G2 knocked iGame out of the tournament, sealing their bid into the Global Pro League. Heading into the GPL, all eyes will be on Josh's transition onto the team. At times, he bumped heads with his former teammates, but so far, he seems to have found a new home with Epsilon. Stage 1 now provides them with the opportunity to prove their new roster has what it takes to compete with the best in the world. Tune in May 5th through the 7th to see Epsilon compete in the CWL Global Pro League Stage 1.
So we prepared these Road to the Global Pro Leagues about a month ago for each of the teams, you know, as they got in, how did they get there? You know, the part that this doesn't cover has been the brightest spot for them, the 2Ks they won and Birmingham. So they have been hot coming into this, and let's take a look. Matt, what stood out for you the most here in the Hardpoint?
I mean, I know Luminosity, they win cell block, and usually the team that wins cell block takes the map. I think it's just kind of comes down to, obviously, Grave won by Epsilon. And you look at it's those streaks, man. If they had those streaks later in the game, they would have been able to make that comeback.
Yeah, definitely a big part of it there, but the overall story is this is all about respawn for LG, and you drop the first one. Epsilon comes out with a sucker punch, and they take this first game. The question is, can they close out the search and destroy? You go up 2-0 in this, man. If they 3-0 LG here to start the weekend?
It's scary for Luminosity. It's like just being like a one-dimensional team like in football or basketball, right? I mean, if you're an NFL team, all you do is run the ball, they shut down the run, you're done. I mean, if you're a basketball, you know, you miss a bunch of three-pointers, that's what you rely on, you're kind of out of it. I mean, with Luminosity, they rely so heavily on these respawns that if you beat them on it, it's going to be hard for them to figure out ways to win these series.
Well, I mean, to be fair, if you had to pick whether you were going to have a respawn-heavy team or an S&D strong team, you'd take the respawn. 3 out of 5 game modes, you know, you're a better chance of getting 2 hard points, obviously, than seeing that Game 5 search, but the problem is they've just been so bad at search. I mean, if they were okay, we talked about it earlier, if they were just okay, you feel so good.
If they were just splitting searches, if it was 50%, I mean,
50%, they could be winning it.
This team would have won an event already. I mean, they are that good in respawn game modes. I believe Dallas, they had over a 70% win rate in both Hardpoint and Uplink. I got to imagine, you know, that is the highest of any team.
It's up there.
It's got to be up there. I mean, they've just been so good in those game modes. To drop that first one tells you a lot of, I know, what the potential this Epsilon team has.
You saw Dave, I think, shivering on the main stage. I'll tell you what, though, his shot did not look cold. He was shooting amazing with that NV4. They're going to need him. He led the way for them in the Game 1. A lot of talk about that young guy and how electric he can be in Infinite Warfare. But now it's time to take it to search and destroy here on Retaliation. Who is it that needs to go big for LG to give him a chance?
Well, I mean, you look at their S&D, I think I know Octane, he's definitely a player you have to look at. But really, I think it's everybody. I mean, you can't kind of pinpoint one player when a team is so bad in S&D. And I think their mid-round decision-making, that's really what's kind of held them back in Search and Destroy. So we'll keep an eye on what they decide to do as these rounds develop.
Okay, well, here we go. It's Josh trying to get a plat, but you know, you saw Gunless get the first blood in this position in the first game. This time it's Saints getting it from the defensive end. He'll open up for LG with the first blood.
Josh trying to come on this flank. Octane knew exactly where he was coming from. Was already turned around, pre-aiming that doorway. Quickly, it'll be a 4v2 in LG's favor.
Can Vortex and Hockey clutch up? It's now going to be all on Vortex. He will drop as well. And that is what you need for LG. A clean sweep in the first round. Maybe a little bit of confidence here for them in Search and Destroy.
Yeah, if you're a Luminosity, you kind of hope that Epsilon just keeps coming out and challenges you in gunfights in S&D. You know, these slower rounds, more methodical, that's where you can really start to pick LG apart. But if Epsilon's going to play fast like that, challenge gunfights, Luminosity would be very happy. All
right, well, now let's see what Epsilon can do from the defensive end of things. No one picking up a kill for their squad to go. Look at the mini-map right now. It's going to be a 4-man hit towards the A site on bridge. So this should be a quick and easy plant. Yep, it's going to be Classic getting it right away. You see the camo player being your bomb planter, working towards that powerful payload as quickly as you can.
It'll be Vortex getting first blood for Epsilon. Let's see how they decide to retake here. You see Josh getting aggressive on the bridge with the NV4 in his hands. Did not spot the one player. Vortex here coming on a flank. Maven needs to pick up one kill. It's going to be a 3v3 as Slack takes out Josh.
A bit of an awkward gunfight. It's going to allow Slack to find 2, but now it's 2 versus 2, 20 seconds on the clock to work with. Now Slack all by his lonesome. Going to have to try and clutch up. Not able to do it. Plenty of time for the defuse, and Epsilon will tie this up 1-1. And Vortex, he gets the first blood. He finds big kills, so trying to push back bridge. He gets 3 in that one.
Yeah, right there. If you're a Luminosity, though, I mean, you get the bomb down. You have them. I know, obviously one player falls as soon as you get the bomb down, but you have that post-plant positioning. I mean, it's set up for you over on bridge. You have control of broken side. It's a lot of ways you could have played that.
And talking to Dave, you know, he said Vortex was, you know, kind of their shot caller, their leader to a degree before Josh joined. And he said, he was like, hey, he wasn't the best at it. You got to think maybe if he's no longer that guy, to take a little bit of pressure off of Vortex, maybe we see him have one hell of an event.
I mean, you think so? I mean, these are, obviously we talk about Vortex, Dave, and Hockey. I mean, this is a core crew that was very good at COD Champs last year.
I mean, you're looking at, what kind of core trios on either side of this. On one side, you have Octane, Slacked, and Classic. And then what you mentioned for Epsilon, guys have been playing together for a long time and seen a lot of success. Duking it out now here for the yellow group.
It'll be Slacked with first blood. Yet again, he has gotten off to a tremendous start, 4-2. It's going to be Luminosity with the man advantage. You see Josh, though, Maven, he's going to be trying to make a play. And Octane has an idea that he's coming.
Yeah, Octane just tees him up. That's an easy one. Pre-aim there with the NV4. You have to snap perfectly with the submachine gun, not able to do it.
And Josh tries the same exact thing to Octane the previous round, and Octane kills him in the same exact spot. So Octane has a very good idea, you know, just the timings on this map, when players are coming from and where they're going to attack. See Hockey spots a few, trying to get back towards Hotel Hallway. He gets taken out by Classic. Another round win for LG.
LG looking good thus far, and they've done a solid job in that, you know, kind of mid-round like you were talking about. But a lot of that's been because of those first bloods, right? They have control, they have man advantage, and they played around that well. Can they keep that consistency through the remainder of this game too? And that would be, I think, pretty uplifting for them. You know, you drop the hard point, which you know you're going to improve. And Luminosity doesn't expect to drop that many respawns this weekend. The big thing, have they found a fix for search and destroy? So far, so good early.
Well, you do have Josh at 0-3 and Dave at 0-3, so that definitely helps a little bit in terms of winning these rounds in S&D. But
poor Josh is running into bullets right now.
Yeah. You see, it's going to be Luminosity playing a little bit slower here. And this is like what I don't really love, because I mean, when you're a team that's obviously struggling in S&D, like your strength is not your tactics.
Yeah.
If you're Luminosity, like I just would hit sites and just play aggressive as a unit. But to kind of slow this down, you let Epsilon kind of get back into these rounds. But it'll be Saints with the first blood. And that's going to be the second round in a row. You see LG get first blood.
Yeah, if they can keep getting man advantage and playing well with it, that's a recipe for success. Now 4v2, you feed Hockey 1, but they're able to push it and trade the kill. 3 rounds now for Luminosity. Has anything changed, do you think, for this team? Do you expect to see, and you gotta think, you know, when you're struggling so much in a game mode, you're gonna work in it, you're gonna focus on it a lot. They've had a month and a half here to kind of prepare for this weekend. Do you think this early sign is, hey, maybe they've improved in this mode, or we gotta see quite a bit more?
I definitely want to see more.
Yeah, I think I knew the answer to that one.
I'm not judging their search and destroy off of 4 rounds.
I am. LG's back. They're winning 60% of their searches this weekend.
And wouldn't that be a kind of turn of events where they start winning their S&Ds and can't win the respawns? That would be highly unlikely. As the Epsilon, they're going to take the bomb here over towards A. Josh going to push on through. I was about to say he has not found a kill yet. He finds his first that round. Quickly gets taken out by Octane, but it's going to be Hockey taking out one more. Quickly they're down to a 2v2.
Yeah, you had a slow start from Josh and Davey. Davey's still up in this one in the 2v2, but he hasn't found a kill either. Will this be the round that he makes his presence known? 25 seconds on the clock. You can see the red arrows retreating across the back side of the bridge, and it's going to be on Vortex and Dave to try and make the kills. They're just defending right now. The hit's going to come from curb and also over the top. Dave just trying to stay alive. It's going to be a 1v1 versus Saints. Time, he's good to go. Not enough time to defuse, and he wins the gunfight and the salute.
It's a nice round win. They are 4 Epsilon. They get bombed down. They just play the clock to perfection. Luminosity needed to go earlier there, and they just don't attack fast enough.
Honestly, the way they were playing it for a moment, you would have thought they were the one trying to defend the bomb. But they planted for backside bridge, and they retreated the whole way out. We actually saw them do that in an earlier offensive round. Here, the retake takes a little bit too long, and you see Vortex and Dave winning the fights they need to.
Now it'll be LG on offense. You have Slacked with his payload ability ready to go. Classic getting closer towards his, and see the FTL jump come in, catches Josh completely off guard. Slack picks up another. Oh, man.
Did he get all 3 there? He may have got the final bullets. Slacked, you saw the incredible start to the Hardpoint. He's going to clean up everything. Snaps on one, finds the second. Him and Classic get the job done, and that all opened up with his FTL jump early.
He's been so good this year.
He has.
I mean, just a tremendous player with, you know, whether it's an NV4 KVR in his hands or an ERAD. I mean, he has just been a force. And he's 8-4 right now. Luminosity up 4 rounds to 2. Looking to win their first S&D of the weekend.
And every player positive, too. I mean, when you looked at the KDs at some of these events, like they'd all be sitting at somewhere around a 1 to a 1-1 in respawn. They drop to a 0.6 to 0.8 in search and destroy. This is what you want to see on the stat line for them early, but it's going to be Davey that'll be challenged first, trying to win it. There's 2 players soaring in. He's able at least to connect on the beatdown. It's now on Saints, though. Can he clutch up? There's the entry kill. He gets pushed from another. He snaps onto 4 different bikes. Unfortunately, not the Epsilon player.
I was going to say, that's a scary room for Epsilon to just kind of charge into, especially with a guy like Saints with an SMG in his hand here. See Josh challenging with a K-bar. I believe there's a teammate directly to his right, so if he gets taken out, highly unlikely that Saints just mows down 3 players. He was so weak inside a garage.
Well, you know he's tagged up in there. You get a little bit of maybe Peeker's advantage with that slide as he comes whipping through. Certainly not an easy kill for Saints. Luminosity still ahead by 1 round. What can they do on offense? You see Classic at 3-3 with a couple of plants, so he's very close to picking up that camo. Gets a call out. There's one at top plat. Vortex has already opened things up for Epsilon. Epsilon on their way to tying up this series, or tying up this game 2 at 4-4.
Saints trying to push his way through market. He gets cut down. Epsilon now with a 4v2 man advantage. Make it a 4v1. It'll be Classic, the bomb carrier. The last one up here. ERAD in his hands, trying to stay alive for even a little bit longer. But it's going to be a 4-4 round count, they've all tied up.
And those plants are important because, you know, he gets the plant, maybe his camo coming into this next round. I mean, obviously he's going to earn it as this game 2 continues to go on, but they're not able to get a plant, not even really, they don't have a chance in that round as they get picked off early. You see the shot of the Epsilon boys as they fought back to tie this up. Wouldn't that be frustrating if, you know, Luminosity, who looked so good early in this, end up letting this search and destroy slip away?
Without a doubt, and we've already seen you know, what a team like Millennium has done in Uplink to a North American squad. You know, Europe has been pretty good in Uplink this year, not like last year where, you know, they were, I don't want to say like kind of a pushover in Uplink, but definitely not up to the standard of North American teams. And now you do have Epsilon just going to muscle their way here onto the A site. Should be able to get another plant with all 4 members alive.
They're starting to push to the back. Octane finds the first. Octane wins the second there. If you're Vortex, you have got to trade out that kill. It's now all on Hockey. He's going to be in a 1v3. He's tagged up at the edge. He actually found a couple of kills. Can he get his health back? He actually finds 3. Hockey, though, finally loses it. They almost feed him, what, a 1v4 there?
Yeah, that would have been bad. He's able to pick up 2. We'll see how close this is at the end. Octane flies through. Saints able to pick this one up with ease, but I mean, Saints is a little bit out of position. Maybe Hawk able to stay alive a little bit longer. Use the wall run on the side of the bridge to get back on top behind a car. Then we're in a crazy 1v1.
Yeah, Hockey had no business finding 3 in that situation.
Nope.
But now you have Classic with camo. You need 1 round. Do they use it here or maybe save it for a round 11?
And Hockey actually uses, I believe, overdrive and gets into the garage. So he's in a position that Luminosity probably does not expect him to be in. But Classic with camo can put this game away.
Watching him here in Hotel Hallway as things begin to develop. They haven't picked their plan of attack yet, but you can see everyone kind of stacked at that back bridge for Luminosity. It looks like they're starting to hit forward through scaffolding. So this will be the call from Slacked and Classic to make a play. You love to be able to finish that one there. Dave doing a good job staying alive in bike. It's Saints finally finding the kill. Classic with the assist. Do you close it here with camo?
Now that's a 3v3. You may consider using it. It's going to be a 3v2. Classic still with camo. Josh coming through towards top bedroom. Spots 1. Has to have a good idea where the second player is. Potentially trying to push down in towards A.
Can Classic make a play? He's able to get the first. He has camo here. He pops it. He turns. There's another freebie. It's now going to be a 2v1. It's all up to Hockey here with 13 seconds left. Now the plant is going to go down. You see Hockey rotating around through back market. He has to clutch here to try and take this game 2. You know, Classic has used the camo. You don't have anything to go up against for Octane and Classic. Hockey gets beamed there, and now LG answer back and win their first search and destroy of the weekend. So that advantage in the series you had for Epsilon disappears immediately.
Oh yeah, I mean now this looks very winnable for Luminosity. I mean you go into an uplink, you go into 2 respawn game modes back to back. You figure, you know, I don't want to say like they felt like their backs were against the wall there on the S&D, but it kind of had to feel like that with how bad they've been. And just a fantastic use of camo there by Classic. Comes in, picks up 1, has a second player fire at him. I believe it's Vortex. He pops camo. Vortex tries to run away. He's like, oh, I know I'm dead in this situation. It's a good win there for LG.
And on the other side, I believe Dave camo, right? I don't think he was 2-8, 2-9, no. Something like that. So he doesn't really get a chance to get involved in that at all. When it comes down to crunch time and you have those key payloads, you had nothing to work with for Epsilon. The camo again, close it down. So LG, what did you see that you liked that they were able to take that search and destroy? What stood out for you?
Look, they were doing a very nice job of just trading out kills, like before, where they would have one guy in a position and not have a second guy there to follow it up. Everybody close enough to trade those kills out. They did obviously a nice use of the payload there at the end by Classic. They did a good job mixing up their strategies. A lot to like there from LG and S&D.
Let's see. It's early. It's the beginning of day 1 here for the yellow group. We'll be back after this quick break with the Uplink. We are back to the action here for the yellow group, and let's take a look at the search and destroy. This series has been kind of the opposite of what you expect results-wise so far.
Yeah, without a doubt. You see Luminosity takes our game 2. They drop game 1. You expected probably the reverse for Epsilon to take game 2 and Luminosity to win that first hardpoint. But you can see Saints, standout performer in that one for LG, goes 9-5, a 1.80 KD. You saw Classic with great use of the active camo in that one. A lot to like from the side of LG.
But let's see if they can bounce back, though. You know, you saw Dave played wonderfully in the game one. He struggled big time. Can Dave and crew for Epsilon now bring it back in the uplink? God, I mean, Luminosity's been so good in the respawn. You just don't expect them to lose 2 of them to a European team. I know they did what, I think the Fnatic to kick off Dallas, they lost an uplink and a hardpoint, which surprised me, but very rarely are they going to lose 2 in a series.
Yeah, I mean, it would, I mean, you think like, I mean, obviously it could go game 5, but like if Epsilon were to take, you know, one of these 2, potentially both of the respawn game modes, that's like the highest unlikely outcome. No, stats-wise, you could have seen coming into this matchup.
Well, I mean, anyone on the desk basically said if Epsilon's going to take it, it's going to be in a 5-game series.
No doubt.
If Luminosity takes it, you expect it to be done in 3 or 4. Obviously,
well, actually,
need to end in the hard point.
Now it puts a lot of pressure on Epsilon, obviously, to win one of these next 2 respawns.
Yeah.
So, you know, in the way that we thought the series would go is if Epsilon were going to take it, they would win one of the respawns and then both of the S&Ds. Now they have to win 2 respawns to potentially force that Game 5 S&D.
Well, it's like we said after Game 2. It basically reset, right? That advantage they had all but gone. You're now just kind of playing a best of 3, and you're back to the same recipe you needed when you entered today. Who is going to get the edge of the uplink? Who's your guy to watch for Luminosity?
On the side of Luminosity, I'm going to be looking at Classic. One of the best camo players, in my opinion, in the game. I know you put him up there, Karma, Gunless. No, Classic right up there. Always gets a good use of his active camo. So I'm going to be looking at him from the side of LG.
And on the other side, who's going to be the hero for Epsilon?
Well, I mean, I think Dame needs to bounce back in a big way. I mean, he's kind of their leader of the respawn game modes in terms of slaying. No, did not have a great game 2. You're going to need him to show up.
I'm going to need him to remove one of those E's from his gamer tag after today.
Yeah.
Duchovny. It's Dave, but we're going to start with Slack now of Luminosity. Off the break, let's see if they can win the fight mid-map.
It's going to be kills traded by both teams. Slack trying to get drone control, but knows there's a player that's always kind of peeking that top window, so can't jump out right away. See Vortex putting some pressure here through the underpass, as it will be Epsilon that gets mid-map control first.
3-0 start here for Vortex. They've got drones starting to push forward on the front side of bowling, and now the flood going to come in. Josh finds the opening pick. It's going to be Vortex around the mid side, not able to do it, but you still have Josh here, but it's Octane holding the line. Octane with the interception as well. He finds both kills. He finds the pick. What a play at home for Octane.
It's a big play by Octane. You figure, you know, Epsilon scores there. Maybe it gives them a little bit of momentum. You saw what an early score did in the Millennium United match, and gets shut down by Octane, one of the better NV4 players in the world. See Dave here going mid-map with the drone in hand, gonna cut it all the way across here. Almost over by bypass, but has no teammate support. Saints and Slacked in the feed. Slacked currently on a 3 streak, as LG now looking to go on the offensive.
LG's turn to try and strike first. Octane not able to win one there as he flew into the window. Slack, though, can do it inside a barn. Drone still waiting mid-map as they haven't really been able to get it forward. Slacked at least in a position where he can be rather annoying. He picked up a little bit of ammo there to work with, but not going to matter as he's not going to be able to get a bullet into that gunfight. Now swapping forces over to Hockey here at mid. That's actually Classic with the Erad able to win that one.
Now you see Luminosity with mid-map control yet again. Obviously have not been able to convert into points, but they're in a pretty good spot now. You see Octane has a lead blocker. It's going to be Saints. Goes out, he falls, but just buys them enough time to throw in a 1-point play.
Yeah, wisely goes for 1. Hockey picks up 2 kills, but not before they get a point on the board. Now Slack playing his life at back bus as he was tagged up pretty much immediately. We'll shift focus over to Classic. Now he's got 1 below him. That'll be easy pickings there. Another kill comes through as well. Can't push out Lemon, but it is at least traded out. So now the Luminosity flood starting to prep forward. That's Hockey, though. Hockey gets the pass. Hockey finds the kill. Octane and Saints still trying to make a play, but Josh still here to hold the line.
It'll be Epsilon holding on the defensive end, but no stalemate. They have not been able to get anything going on the offensive side. I think LG has put so much pressure on their base. You see Octane now pushing up with Classic. Octane's able to get 2. Classic going back towards the mid-map, getting Vortex weak. Octane able to clean it up. Octane starting off 10 and 5 on a 3 streak. He finally falls. And now look, Epsilon has mid-map control. Nobody's going to pick up the drone. They're going to push forward here. I like the idea. They need to clean out the LG base, put a lot of pressure on before they go back and try and run the drone through.
It just feels like so far this has been a kind of a game of tug of war where no one's been able to really get an edge. Not much momentum at all. Very few offensive opportunities. Maybe a one-pointer here from Davey. He actually is going to make that a dunk, and he splits through, I think, 3 players from LG to get that through.
Yeah, so it looked like Epsilon just throwing it over the top, and LG had no idea that Dave is behind enemy line, so they see the drone go over the top, probably don't expect to have to play too much defense on it. Dave picks it up, runs it right in for 2. It's a big play from Epsilon.
Yeah, it's not one of those scores you should allow if you're Luminosity, but there's 3 on the kill feed for LG. Octane on a 3 streak at 13-7. He's trying to make the plays in front. Saw one at the right side of Silo. The bit of a spree does end up getting cut short for now. Drone's gonna reset as they toss it out in the courtyard, but couldn't really make a play around it at all. Been solid defense so far for the side of Epsilon.
Some nice shots with the ERAD from Classic. As Luminosity trying to make a last-minute push here, try and put some points on the board, but you see a very good defensive stand from Epsilon yet again. It's going to be Hockey, Josh, and Vortex in the feed. They pick up the kills, but look, maybe there's nobody going towards the middle of the map for Epsilon. Now they're starting to push towards it. But still, when they get those 3 dead, instead of just kind of going back to their own base, playing a little bit further back, they got to keep pushing up the map.
You got to make a play and try to get some semblance of control, but when you got Classic making plays mid-map like that, he has 2, he slows it down, now drone in hand, his teammates pushing it out, and this is a guaranteed 1 as long as he can flush it on in. Nice shot there from Classic to tie it up at 2-2 with 25 seconds remaining. Octane here to cut off the rebound, and that's perfect position, right? You know they're coming off a spawn. It's an easy 2-piece for Octane.
Yeah, and he's going to throw this one over towards the top side. It's going to be Luminosity sending a lot of players here towards Barn, trying to get a quick 1-point throw at the end of this game. It's going to be Slacked with 1, Saints with another. Octane's actually going to try and force this one in for 2. Only 5 seconds left. Heat ball, Saints there to pick it up. They put it through. It'll be Luminosity with a 2-point play in the final seconds as they go up by 2 going into the second half.
It was a good play. I mean, they basically have a 3v1 there. It doesn't matter if he dies. He serves purpose as the bait. They take him out, but 2 teammates there to rally the dunk on through. So Luminosity picks it up a bit there at the latter bit of the first half. Can Epsilon now answer? So this looks to be a pretty, I don't know if slow is the right word, but a slow storing game, at least from an objective standpoint. Not explosion like we saw Millennium do in the previous series.
Now we'll see if Epsilon, I think the story really going in the second half is when Epsilon picks up the kills, can they put the pressure on Luminosity? That's really where they gave up that first side. Now, they were doing a good job picking up these kills. Look, 3 dead for Luminosity. Somebody's got to pick up the drone and push it forward.
Dave and Josh coming through.
Pick the drone up.
Vortex involved in the action as well. Now it's going to be Hockey that has the drone in hand, and Vortex doing so much damage in the back that he opened it enough. Now the drone carrier gets killed. I thought maybe he would turn everybody's heads there and they could get a deep 1-point toss off, but that will not be the case.
They just need to get that drone faster and force that guy out of the top window. I do not know who it was on the side of LG, but in the top window looking over drone, the player is able to pick up 1 kill, and that just stalls out the entire push. You need to force that player out of that cover earlier if you're going to be Epsilon.
Epsilon still a ton of time to work with. Vortex has drone in hands. It's going to be Dave to look to make a play, and he's got to pick it up too. I mean, he's 10-12 right now. He's nowhere near getting that camo. He needs a nice little spree here. If this is going to be a close game, could prove to be crucial. Not able to get the 1-point toss off. No one there to follow it up. And again, that's Octane with a 2-piece on defense. I mean, he's probably saved his team, what, two points now?
Yeah, they body stack with the drone, and I believe it's Dave behind the drone carrier. And Octane just fires in a straight line through both players. He's crushing this game. 21-14 on a 3 streak. Saints helping lead the way. It'll be a 1-point throw going through there for LG. So it could have been a 2-point play for Epsilon. Quickly gets turned into points on the other end.
Well, Dave, though, able to clear out the base to try and get back to mid-map. And, you know, we talked about the influence of Dave and Octane in the first map where he outplayed him, really went off in the slaying department. You can see when he's hitting shots like that. This time, it's been all Octane, but he's already gotten a big way towards that camo since we were last on board with him. 3 minutes to go now, and there's a push coming through. Drone going to be in the hands of Josh. Josh for the deep 1. Is it short? It's an interception again. This time it's Classic. They always seem to be in the right spot there, man.
Yeah, I mean, Epsilon, that time, that was actually a good push. I mean, they pick up some kills in the middle of the map, and then they're able to push on through, but just a great defensive stand there from LG. They're so difficult to wipe off the board twice. They're such a strong slaying team.
And it's that one player left in that power position that's been a nuisance. It was Slack there and Silo holding them in courtyard, whether it's somebody in the window on the opposite side like you were talking about. They can't pick off that last man to get an opening to go forward. Slack now on a 5 streak. Let's go over to him, 18 and 17. Just a few kills off of that Trinity rocket. He's going to, should have probably found one there, but it's actually Hockey able to win it.
Yeah, and LG just throws the drone down. Gonna try and slay out before they can get on in, and not gonna be able to pick up any kills. Vortex picks up a few. Hockey's gonna finish off one. And now we'll see if Epsilon can get something going on offense. They've been so close, just not able to pick up that second round of kills.
Hockey here has overdrive, but he gets cut down immediately. Dave still a ways to go with camo, and he's dropped. Classic on the other side for Luminosity, very close to it. And you think with this much time left, Classic gets that first. He gets a camo dunk through. That could end up being the dagger.
So right there, you have a 2v1. You know where Saints is. He just killed one of your teammates. He can't go far. You need to come out and challenge that guy right away. Let's say you trade that out. You can still get a 1-point throw over the building. And then there's points there for Epsilon. Just not enough aggression there out of Epsilon when they get on the offensive side of things to put through points.
Well, this is another opportunity for points right now for LG. They find 2 kills mid-map. They toss the drone forward and get gun up. Hockey at least able to win some on the opposite side of the map. Hockey's picked up now 3 in a row on the defensive end. Drone's still in a dangerous position, but the only one remaining here is Slacked, and he is stopped for the time being. So you get a good defensive play out of Epsilon, but still not a lot of time to work with. You have to get a point on the board, try to turn this into a 1-possession game. You still don't have the camo to work with. Dave's throwing grenades himself, and he might not be involved in the action late to try and make a play. And here, Classic can definitely be the dagger.
Oh, yeah. I mean, with this active camo, 50 seconds left, you're up 3. Here it is.
And this should be game unless they somehow slow him up. Has just enough juice, and that should do it. 7-2 advantage, 40 seconds left. Unless Dave somehow finds 5 kills in the next 15 seconds or so. You have overdrive. I mean, Octane's just going to be able to play with the drone. Should be a 1-point toss here at the very least. He's just going to try and rip right through him. Never mind, that's another dunk. The payload used perfect for LG down the stretch as they control the uplink.
Yeah, Classic there at the end really helped put it away. A 5 streak. The use of camo was perfect. You know, he pops the camo, goes in the wall run, he starts to take some shots. A lot of other players maybe would have settled for the 1-point throw. Just gets crafty with the movement, able to get by everybody, put in a 2.
Yeah, you don't need to panic with camo in this game. I think we've seen—
You're literally invisible.
A handful of kills actually come through. I think I saw a Classic bombardment at the end there to put a final note on that one. Luminosity, your Game 3 victors, now back-to-back map wins, and what looked very scary after Game 1, they now have a 2-1 advantage in the series.
It looks scary for the side of Epsilon now.
Yeah.
I mean, going into a hard point, Luminosity starting to heat up in the slaying department. Did a great job just forcing the pace on Epsilon there in Uplink. Oh, it's going to be a tough Game 4, I feel like, for Epsilon.
Can you win 2 hard points? I would never have said they'd be able to win both hard points off of LG at the beginning of the series.
Their strongest game mode, I think, without a doubt. LG.
I know you take the Game 1, but I think that was a shock to us mostly. Winning both, definitely going to prove difficult. But what's the biggest takeaway from this series thus far for you from the Luminosity side?
From the Luminosity side, I mean, look, they looked very good in S&D. There in the uplink, they did a fantastic job. Obviously, on the defensive end, saw a lot of stops there by Octane. And then when they get 3 dead, they're very decisive. They get the drone, they push it forward right away. They get in your face, no delaying in the middle of the map, kind of like what we saw from Epsilon. Everybody kind of standing around, doesn't know what's going on. They just were very aggressive towards the mid-map.
I remember at one point last year, I think Jack called Octane a top 5 interceptor in Uplink, and we laughed. Like, what are you talking about? But he actually is. He is great at it. You saw him with the 2-piece, making a play early to prevent that drone from going in. And for the most part, since that Game 1, it's been all smiles around for LG, but right now they're getting focused up. I think they know we have to close the series out here. It's in our hands. I mean, Game 4 is where it should be done in a lot of their series.
And also, we can take a look at the box score real quick. 4-2 in favor of LG in the first half, 5-0. Epsilon does not get on the board in the second half. And you see Dave, standout performer for Epsilon with 2 scores, only 17 kills. But look at Octane on the other side. 30 kills, 4 scores, and I can think of at least 2 interceptions he had during that game.
And that's almost the opposite of their production in the Game 1. I mean, Octane, I don't think he struggled as much at a .74, but Dave really turned up, hasn't been able to do it. So after he has a strong start to the series, he has an abysmal Game 2 where he goes 2-8. He struggles mightily there in the uplink as well. they need Dave. I mean, he can be the lead slayer on this team. He can be the one putting up numbers. They need him. He has to go big in this hard point.
Yeah, and you look just in overall in terms of this weekend. We saw how important map counts come in all of these. Obviously Millennium, they get one against the United. If you're Epsilon, you have one already. It'd be great to get a second one. Even if you lose the series in a Game 5, just get that other map under your belt.
Especially when, for most people, I think if you did a vote, the most consistent vote would probably be EU United, LG going to be top 2. So if that's how most people feel, then you're thinking that Epsilon and Millennium are going to be the ones fighting for who's going to get that 3rd spot, who's going to guarantee themselves a spot in Champs in Stage 2. Yes, map count for these guys is crucial. Yeah,
everybody would have said LG and EU United. Your top 2. You actually went with LG getting relegated.
I took Epsilon, man. I'll tell you what, I'm going to blame Facento and Clay. They dinner after Sunday's matches, they were talking up Millennium so much, how good they had been in scrims. And I know it's only day 1. We've only seen 1 series from them. But they got me on the EU hype train coming into this event. And I felt real good about Epsilon, too.
I actually felt strong about LG getting first. I mean, just with how consistent they've been in respawn game modes. Like, you figure, like, they put together, like, 1 or 2 more searches than normal, and they're in a very good spot to kind of come out on top, or at least second.
Well, I think that's what's fun about this group and fun about last week. You could make an argument for just about any team sneaking into like a top 2 spot. All right, well, the boys getting ready here. It's going to be throwback hardpoint coming up next. Can Epsilon force the Game 5? Or will Luminosity take their series? And that's, we will continue to talk about the storyline, kind of North America versus Europe. Kind of interesting to see how many of these European teams are going to make it into the top 8 to play for the, in that Stage 1 playoff. It wouldn't be a good start if you hear first 2 series, you have to go the way of the North American sides.
Oh no, yeah, I mean, if you're a European Call of Duty fan, not be looking good for you. If you see Luminosity take out Epsilon, then obviously we've already seen Millennium lose their series.
Well, I think it's frustrating. You go back to last week, Fnatic you think has a chance, they fall short. The week before that, Splice completely in control of the group. The only thing they can't do to get first is get 3-0'd by Envy. They get 3-0'd by Envy. You want a good storyline for the EU side coming out of this one. A lot of pressure on Epsilon. Can they do it here in map 4? They prove they can win the hardpoint. Throwback about as different as you can get to Breakout, though, in terms of playstyle.
Well, now I think, obviously, double throwback, I think that favors Luminosity quite a bit. I mean, you saw Luminosity, they dominated with the aggression in the Game 3. We're going into a very close quarters, minded map here, and throwback for Game 4 and Hardpoint definitely favors LG, I think.
All right, we're going to kick things off with Epsilon. Do or die here for this first series. We're going to start it off with Hockey.
He's got to be a big player, along with Dave. For this Epsilon team going into this one, running the NV4, he's going to have a big task ahead of him trying to outgun Octane at range.
Able to win 1, second pushes on through, so this should start to be some time mounting as he soars out. You think you can get some points here at least if you're Epsilon, but just as that happens, 3 get cut down. Vortex, the last remaining man at mid-map for this Epsilon side, but he is tearing down everyone from LG, even tagging up the final player. We are, 30 seconds into the first hardpoint, and there has been 1 point scored.
Yep, both teams just trying to kill out in the middle of the map. Now it's going to be Epsilon getting some points. Luminosity trying to force these spawns in their favor for that Barn Hill. Coming up next, C Classic gets inside, picks up another on the 3 streak right now. If you're Luminosity, you got to start thinking about these next spawns. You got to start pushing on through.
Well, Epsilon more than willing to give up this time to get set up for Barn, but the first man to drop is going to be Josh. Dave right behind him, and now the swarm's going to come in. You're going to get 1 more spawn in the back here. You should. Actually, it's Dave. He spawns out kind of blue side. He's going to have to wrap back as quickly as possible so he can get involved in the action, but it's Saints opening things up, freeing Classic to dive into the hard point here, and now, I mean, this doesn't look great for Epsilon. Thankfully, they're able to win 1, so we should have a bloodbath here in the hard point.
Yep. Slack comes over the top, drops an 8, and he's going to push straight on through. He's trying to kill these players off the spawn, give his team a little bit of relief, Maeve, when they get inside a Barn.
And he did just that. There's only 1 remaining player from Epsilon. They're all spawning out in courtyard as they try to flood through. A pretty low-scoring game with this much time gone just because of how the first hard point went, and there's been a good amount of contest here in Barn as well. Dave around the backside. There he gets 1 kill before Octane lines him up. Octane with 2 there at the backside of Barn. And now LG starting to build a little bit of a comfort, a little bit of a cushion here.
Yeah, it was all really caused by Slack. I mean, when he pushes that out, he picks up 1 kill, and that really just stalls Epsilon out. He spawns in the back with the rest of his team behind Barn, and they're able to hold that hard point for the rest of the time.
Well, it's a heads-up play and trust in your teammates, right? He knows there's still 2 players up for Epsilon inside a Barn, doesn't worry about it. Just tries to cut off the rotation off a spawn. Now we'll get down to bike path. You've got the blue arrows spawning at back bus. And mid-map mostly controlled right now by LG, but all the kills going the way of Epsilon. The only man remaining here is Classic, and they push it out.
Yeah, he tries to just fall out of the hard point, bait players into coming towards his side of the map, which he does successfully, just does not pick up anything. But just like that, Luminosity wipes the board with Epsilon. They get the hill right back, and that's what's so scary about Luminosity. You know, in this series, I mean, you just see the slaying power that Luminosity has. I mean, Epsilon can't really counter any of that.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Like, it looked good for a second. You have 3 kills for Epsilon. They've got set up. They're picking up time, and then bam, it's like a light switch, and everybody drops. It's all red in the kill feed like you're seeing again now. And you've got Octane in the back with an NV4 trying to lock down really both lanes right now. His teammates, though, at mid-map, they're not even allow Epsilon to get in a position to contest this right now. This is beautiful.
Nope, it looks like Epsilon trying to set up for a pinch. See players at the top side of the minimap just waiting for each other to get close. It's a big kill there by Josh, able to take Octane out in the back. Epsilon gets a good break.
That's everything. I mean, that's the fight. That's the reason Octane is one of the best players in the world, because he always wins those, right? At range like that, you did not expect him to get gunned by Josh. And now Vortex and Dave for Epsilon picking it up. 30 seconds remaining here. If they can get all this time, they're right back in it, trailing by 20 or so points. But there is one more flood coming through from LG. It's Octane and Classic finding those opening kills.
Yeah, I mean, for how poor of a start it was for Epsilon in terms of slaying and the first few hard points, they hold the rest of this time. They're very close, but it's going to be Luminosity getting in, breaking it, taking control. They'll be up about 108 or 9 to 56 here going into the second half.
All right, let's get into our second rotation now. Again, how many times have you seen the kill feed? Just all red as Luminosity picks up everything, and all 4 players spawn for Epsilon.
Yeah, and all 4 members of Luminosity on some sort of streak here. It's going to be broken. The Saints gets taken out in the top window, but you have Octane on bike path. He's not going to be able to take out Dave. So a few kills now go in favor of Epsilon. They're able to get a break. Both teams, I feel like, just exchanging these like 3 and 4 deads.
And the big thing here, the big difference from Breakout. Breakout, we see some really big swings, right? Here, you can't let this get out of control. If Luminosity gets like a 100-point edge, they're going to close it out. You can just, there's so many hard points here that you can just fight, contest, play 50-50. But the gunfights don't seem to be very 50. Is it just, I mean, look at the slaying at the top right now, man. Every single player positive for LG.
Well, this is the exact type of game that Luminosity wants to play. They want to play a type of game that is fast-paced and all about slaying. They feel most confident in that type of playstyle. I mean, this is a playstyle that they win most of their hard points and respawn game modes in. So I think Epsilon really just kind of playing into the hands of LG right now.
And you see Josh and Vortex right now. They're double negative, combined for 16 and 32. They're having nearly identical games statistically, and you can't have that against a team like Luminosity. Sure, there are special teams like E United that get outslayed in a big way and are still able to take maps. You just don't think that's going to be an outcome in a matchup like this.
Nope. It'll be LG trying to break the last 30 seconds of this hill. You see all the arrows coming from the top side of the minimap. Nades fly in towards the hard point. A Scarab coming in as well. Nice play there. They get him weak with the nades, then followed up with a Scarab. It's going to be Vortex, the only one alive on the hill. The last 20 seconds will now go in favor of Luminosity.
I know Vortex gets 1 kill, but that was almost another, I mean, it's basically a clean sweep, right? You get all 4 down, you spawn them all out, you get the garbage time here. If you're Epsilon, you've at least kept this close, like, right? You kept it within striking distance. You haven't allowed Luminosity open it up enough that they can seal the deal. Now, let's see how they do at bike path. It's going to be Vortex inside, throwing a nade, it looked like, basically directly at his teammate in the back. Doing a good job staying up. Josh, the headshot onto Slack, kills going back and forth. It's a contest fest here at bike path.
It's going to be Hockey, though, coming over the top, picking up 2. Vortex with 1 more. Vortex drops down, takes out Classic. He's going to call in the Scarab right away. See if he can get some players weak as they dart towards the hard point. But Epsilon, mate, they hold this. They get that baseball, they're right back in it.
Exactly. They need to hold this, but also make sure nobody sneaks through and kind of flips these spawns. No one can win a fight mid-map or wrap all the way around through courtyard. You have to hold this side of the map. 20 seconds left to do an excellent job, and you're right back in this. Can Epsilon do it and push it to a game 5? And there it happens. Did someone push too far forward that you
Yeah, I believe
spawn?
so. So yeah, I actually was just pointing at Maven at the minimap. You see everybody on LG, they spawn up at baseball. I believe somebody just pushes a little bit too far forward for the side of Epsilon, gives the spawns there to Luminosity. That could be a huge mistake.
And this hard point for me is one of the trickiest when it comes to spawns. It's very easy to give split spawns. It's very easy to flip them. I was looking at the red arrows. I didn't see what happened from Epsilon, if this is just a fortunate spawn for LG or a misplay from Epsilon. But as it stands, LG looking to be set up here, but Dave and Hockey doing what they can to make a play. You have Camo for Classic, but he's cut down, and you get a clean flip. That is not how that should have gone, but they get the break.
They did give some time to Luminosity, though. I mean, only about 30 seconds left, a little bit more than that when you see Epsilon get control of this hard point. Still, you have a ton of time here to be able to be taken for Epsilon. 20 seconds left on the hill. Dave trying to get back towards mid-map, rotate all the way back, trying to shoot some players in the back of Luminosity. Has 2 players directly in front of him, able to get 1. The hill goes in favor of the LG for the last 10 seconds. And now, look at just in terms of payloads, everybody on the side of LG has theirs. On the side of Epsilon, you're only working with Vortex and Dave's active camo.
The problem is you're at a point in a scoreline where you need like almost one perfect hold from Epsilon, and when you have so many payloads available for Luminosity, you're going to guarantee yourselves a few breaks, and when Slack's going off at top mid like that, going to be so tough to hold on. How much can LG add to this lead as Slack and Octane continue to patrol mid-map?
Well, if you're Luminosity, you want to try and bait that camo out as soon as possible from Dave. See, I believe it's going to be Hockey getting his payload ability now as well. So everybody on both teams pretty much has their abilities outside of Josh. I feel like Barn is going to be crazy because that's where you're going to see your reactive, you're going to see your active camos, etc. really come into play.
You don't like the spawn right now for Epsilon where you're basically fighting out of the lower right corner. You're trying to fight toward top left at Barn. You see where that number 1 pops. That's Octane. They've got the spawn for Barn. The trash time is going to go in, but this is all going to be payloads here. Can you get a big reactive, a big camo here to try and make a play? Slack already drops his payload on the backside, and now the camo over the top. There you go. Dave finds the entry kill. Are they able to find the rest? Nice snap on the backside, and that's 3 down now for LG. You've got control. This needs to be bordering on flawless. The problem is you have so many payloads, but they're lining up a bit of a stack there for LG.
Well, now LG, I mean, you wouldn't really invest the camo into this. You're man down. Oh, and they're actually going to use the camo, and it's going to be Classic trying to push his way on through, so he does get 1. So they do actually get a good use out of the camo there. I was actually worried when they have the team kill and your man down trying to use the camo there. Could have been pretty risky.
Well, I think the call was just because the spawn came in so close there at Courtyard. Yeah. They were able to flood right back through behind the play, and Classic gets it done. Now 25 points away. You still have reacted to work with for Saints. Saints trying to snap on to a few players, but he will drop. Epsilon trying to find the bit of scrap time here. But this has been, I mean, one of the more back and forth hard points so far, I think, has probably been Bike Path. No one's been able to get much control. It's been contested pretty heavily. Epsilon needs to have a big edge here because LG very close to putting this away.
Well, I mean, it's crazy that Epsilon has kind of kept this so close with, I mean, the game that Josh is having. Right now, 15-31. It's not going to get it done against LG in the respawn game modes. I mean, Vortex not much better. 18-29 right now. Really, Hockey and Dave playing great.
Yeah, they've provided all of the slaying right now for this side. They've got to be perfect here, but Saints, the reactive armor up over the top. That's 3 in a row, and there's the break. Saints should have this series over for LG. He's flying forward, trying to get the cutoff so no one can push in for the contest. 3 seconds left here. They're able to get in. Epsilon still staying alive, and technically they do have the spawns for the back. They could do this, buddy.
They'd have to hold on to the rest of the bike path the next 14 seconds and get baseball right away. You see Classic, though, coming over the top. It's going to be a contestant coming in here for LG. Epsilon needs to take the remaining seconds or at least contest this.
Here we go. Here we go. And Hockey actually has a streak to work with. He tries to call it in, but gets cut down. Now it's going to be a 4v2. Thankfully, they're going to spawn there at blue, but the streaks will come in. What can it actually connect with here? Does he find any kills? Nothing yet. Classic still up to make a play, too. A team kill?
Yeah, he team kills Josh there in the back with the streak. Hockey, though, able to come in. Picks up 2. Classic still alive for LG.
What a play from
picks
Classic.
up 1. This should be quickly traded out. A fantastic play by Classic, but the game's still not over yet. Dave needs to stay alive.
That's it. That is it. Epsilon just a little bit short. Dave was the last man there at Statue. to try and get it done. But that's one of those games where it just felt like Epsilon could never get over the hump, right? They were trailing by 50, 60 points. They were trying to bring it close, but you didn't have like that one maybe perfect hold where you kind of hop back into the game, whether it happened at Statue, happened at Barn. For LG, you just kept playing at 50-50. You got scrap time where you needed to, and you put the game away.
Yeah, and look, I mean, when you have a team like Luminosity on the other side of things, you can't have, I don't know what Josh finished with, but we highlighted, 15-30. I think Vortex around like 16 or 17-32. You can't have just two really slow performances with players like that.
Well, I think a bright spot that you can take away for this, for Epsilon at least, is you played LG really, really tough in the hard points. You split them 1-1, and you lost one in which you hope you're not going to have many performances like that come out of Vortex, come out of Josh. So you think if they play a little bit better, that's a game you can steal. So despite the fact that you lose the series, all hope is not lost. Obviously, we're very early in this weekend.
Oh, without a doubt. I think you did see some good things from Epsilon in that matchup. I mean, you get better performances from Josh and Vortex in the slaying. Now, this is a team that you could look right now, probably the second best team in Europe. You look to see them put up a better fight next time.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about, the likes of Millennium and Fnatic, it felt like all year, but the surge from Epsilon recently has basically flipped everybody on their head. But the guy that stood out, I think, the most to me throughout that series was Slacked of Luminosity, and we've got him on the floor with Jack.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Yes, a big win there for Luminosity as they start off their Global Pro League run 1-0, taking down Epsilon, who many people regard as the best team in Europe, especially after that CWL Birmingham victory. Now, Slacked, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the differences between North America and Europe, because before we even came on camera here, you were already ranting. I wasn't even asking you questions, but you're bringing up how different their play style is. What was the really eye-opening thing for you in that series that made a big difference for them?
Starting off on Breakout Hardpoint, I don't think there's a single NA team that actually runs an E-Red the full time on Breakout. So that kind of caught us off guard. They won, several big gunfights and showers that were constantly allowed them to hold map control, and that I think threw us off guard and put us in a unfortunate situation. But we ended up, bringing it back, but we lost on that last cave hill. But they just play a lot different.
Yeah, we most certainly saw that on Breakout. You guys didn't really ever seem to get comfortable, but you brought it back in Search and Destroy, and you guys. Everyone's talking about the S&D, how weak it's looked up to this point. You talked about it really in the interviews yesterday. But then you promised prior to the series today, you said, Jack, we're winning the S&Ds. We're turning it around. What has changed? What have you guys tried to work on? How are you going to improve on it this weekend?
Time and time again, we go to these tournaments, me, Sam, and Classic especially, and we end up losing Search and Destroy. We go home, we talk about it, we're like, all right, look, we need to do this. And then we pick up Saints, and the same thing starts happening again. And, we talked about it, and we're finally starting to form, chemistry with Saints. We're trying to figure out, what works with playing with him, and we've kind of figured that out. We're getting our little teamwork together in Search and Destroy, and hopefully we can continue to win them this weekend.
Hey, you're at a 100% win rate right now, which is quite different than you're used to on Luminosity. Now, final question for you here, Slacked. You just beat one of Europe's best. Now tonight you have your big matchup, the North American battle in this group against United. They just won their series earlier 3-1. What are your expectations for that series? What do you know about United that you're looking to try to maybe use as an advantage for you guys? What might work for you, Luminosity, other teams can't do?
I think our respawn with them is on par, if not a little bit better. But when it comes down to those Search and Destroys, if we can continue to win that, I think we have an edge on them in the series. They're a great team. They all play for teamwork and similar to the way we play respawn. So it'll be a good match.
Slacked, you just went off in that first series. More to come later on for Luminosity. But for now, though, we've got Puckett and the boys on the analyst desk to break down that series.
United and LG both now 1-0 to kick off week 3. We'll see their matchup to close out the night. But first, we got to break down what we just saw here. Epsilon came out swinging, boys, and they had a pretty nice lead in that first hard point. A late comeback from LG, but let's talk about just this Epsilon squad to open things up. What were they doing well before that game was close?
I think the biggest thing we need to talk about is that E-Red. Obviously, from that interview right there, that E-Red was causing them problems. And the fact that Vortex, he didn't have a crazy score on the scoreboard, right? But every single time I saw him in the kill feed, he's picking up those double kills close up in those hardpoint situations. And I feel like that's why it made LG play a little bit out of their comfort zone, a little bit slower. They didn't really know what to do. They started to transition and adapt as good teams do, but it was just too little too late there.
Yeah, and they had the E-Rad, but Dave as well was pretty much on point that entire first hard point, baiting his teammates very, very well. Normally when you bait your teammates, people say it's for stats, but not in this case. Situations where his teammates are, have the best positioning possible that they can, calling out players, and he's picking up 3-piece after 3-piece. not getting a lot of time in the hill. His job is to get as many kills as possible, getting those cutoffs. And the kills he's picking up, that means Luminosity, that's going to be an extra 15, 20 seconds they're going to be away from even contesting that hill.
And Felony, I wanted to get your thoughts here on what was going on with Luminosity, because we came into this one hyping up their respawn, saying that this is a top 3, top 5 team in the game when it comes to respawn game modes. What was happening for them? Why weren't they winning their gunfights?
Well, on rotation to second hill, Luminosity actually started off really good. Slack ended up getting streaks. I believe he started off the game at 9 kills in the first 2 hills. The way he used his streaks were pretty poorly. He used their Trinity rocket on the Grave Hill, and they ended up not getting a single kill with it, I believe. And after that, Epsilon just kind of rotated to a few hard points and just started piling on and chipping away. Or LG finally started to chip away at the lead.
At the very end, it was coming down to the wire, and we had one play highlighted, TP. You were talking about the camo. We saw Dave trying to break into cell block. He gets 2 kills, but it's still LG who holds on. And then at the end, Classic has a chance to take over the game for Luminosity here.
Yeah, it's a great play overall. I don't think the camo is too bad, but the fact that he picked up that kill in particular is the one that bothered me. When you have a payload ability like that, you need to take out the back line, not necessarily the front line. You're probably going to trade out that initial kill to begin with, but regardless, it doesn't work out in their favor. The trades end up going back and forth, but I feel like he just could have made a little bit more out of that camo.
Yeah, at the very least, get more information. Yeah. He shot the first player he saw. There's 3 more players on the map, and they're all somewhere around cave. So he gets traded out instantly. Take an extra second, find where those players are going to be coming from, then kill the first guy, immediately snap on to the next, and put yourself in a better position to open up the map for your team.
Yeah, another important aspect there is when you have a specialist like that late into the game, you want to make sure all of your teammates are staying alive. That way you guys can have a solid push and make sure you trade out all the kills. And Saints ends up dying right before Classic camos. So automatically, right off the bat, to break the hill, they're down a man, which can also hurt their team a lot.
All right, so there we had it. At the end, it was Dave and Epsilon holding strong. They take our first game, very close hardpoint. But the search and destroy, this was a pretty one-sided affair in favor of Luminosity, and we counted. Whoever got first blood won every single round in this game, 6-4, but it was Saints finishing 9-5.
It's just impressive stuff from Saints overall, and that's really how Saints needs to play on every single search and destroy map, not just retaliation. He needs to be the one attempting those first bloods with that ERAT in those close quarter situations, and Nada's been playing for so long. That's what we all sort of know. That's what he's supposed to be doing. He's one of the best at it. If he's doing that, I think they'll be doing a lot better in search and destroy.
Yeah, Insane's job as well, he pretty much owned Bike Shop pretty much the entire time. If he's on defense, if he gets that first blood inside a Bike Shop, the other team can't plant. Their options are either take the time and try to kill him when they've already got the man advantage, like not on their side, or the other team has to go to A. So constantly he's in Bike Shop, and then when he does it on offense, he's the player, if he gets that first kill, opens up for the plant. So again, you have that guy inside of Bike getting that positioning down, easy wins for your team.
We saw Gunless do it in the first one. He was doing it there. That map control over towards B is so important.
And of course, we saw a top 5 where the FTL jump coming from Slack to close out the game. If you look at the 6 first bloods, 3 of them went to Saints. Slack was there with 2 as they were able to take the game to 6-4. That tied up our series. Then we had Uplink. And this one looked like it could have gone Epsilon's way early on. Fellas, what was your kind of big takeaway leading into the final moments of this?
Well, on the first side of the Uplink, everything was pretty close between Epsilon and LG. And then Vortex made a kind of hesitant play, pinching B cut. And then he realized he probably shouldn't have done it after his teammate died, so he immediately ran back. And then his team got 4 downed. LG ends up scoring a 1, and then as soon as they get the ball back, they end up dunking again towards the end of the side. So that could have been prevented.
Octane had a huge game on defense as well as putting in some offensive plays. We have Merc at the telestrator. Merc, break it down for us. What happened at the end of the first half?
Yeah, so just as Felony talked about, we're going to talk about those last 30 seconds just at the first half. So you're going to have this map, and you're going to have Octane. He comes off spawn because Luminosity, they're able to get a 1. The board resets. Basically, everybody dies, and we're going to go into this play. So Octane, what he's going to do is he is going to be the first man up. He gets mid-map control. He takes out Dave and Josh. That gives his team drone control. Now, all 3 of his teammates, they spawn blue. If you look at the top side of the map, they're going to push field. Octane, he's going to throw this drone. He's going to take it up field. This allows his team to take that drone and push barn. Now, all on Slack, he's able to pick up the first kill. Dave and Josh, they're going to come up spawn through Lemon and Barn, and they have to make the decision to try to either cut off this front cut or go all the way around. And what this allows Luminosity to do is to pick up a dunk. And they were able to take a 4-2 lead going into the second half. And this was just a lead that they didn't lose for the entire game. Back to you, Chris.
Great breakdown there from Joe. That was the first half, and then in the final minutes, we saw this game just, the score was tallying up. I have, let's see here, Octane, another great defensive stand. Octane and Saints get a 2-point dunk. Then you have Classic with an interception. That leads to a 2-point dunk. Then the final play of the game, it's Octane using the overdrive to put in a 2-point play. It seemed that everyone was using their payloads perfectly in the second half, Chance.
Yeah, really that score doesn't do the game justice. It was pretty close the entire time, but same thing for game 2. Scoreline is 6-4. The difference maker was the FTL play by Slack that broke it open, and then in the final rounds, it was Classic with the camo play. Picks up the 2-piece, they get the bomb down, get the win there. Exact same thing. All the clutch plays that Luminosity had an option of getting, the interceptions, the 2 pieces to shut down plays, the clutch dunks coming into the final seconds, they were able to pick those up. So the biggest difference maker to me was just that clutch factor.
Clutch factor, and Octane was your clutch man. I think that was the best individual performance we've seen out of our 8 games so far. But let's talk about the 8th game now. This one, 250-229 as LG finally closes it out. But TP, I wrote down at 82-29. You said this game is over. Epsilon is playing pitiful. What mistakes were they making early on? How did they bring it back?
So sort of similar things I was kind of knocking Millennium in that first series, I saw it again from Epsilon. And they kept a lot of these hard points close. You can see the scoreboard. It was a close hard point overall. But what really got away from them was, yes, they won bike path in terms of getting hard point time, but on that rotation over towards baseball, those 2 times, they got 67 seconds on bike, 69 at baseball. Those should have been absolutely doubled. There's 2 situations that we need to cover on the rotation from bike path where they have control of the hard point initially, and they run out and challenge these gunfights that absolutely make 0 sense to me. Me and Fellow were talking about it a lot. It's like when you get control, they're so good at breaking, but once you have control, you're fine. The other team has to come to you, and you have the side of the map that you want. So we're going to bring this up for you guys so you can see it firsthand, and it just made me a little bit angry.
Yeah, you see player number 4, Classic came off the spawn and then just make sure that his team is spawning up in the right position. But it was Vortex working with a teammate. They just push out on the bike path, and that's where they got punished. You see the rotation. The big difference was on that baseball field. LG, not as dominant as I thought they'd be in the hard points, fellas. What's wrong in their game? Is it just going up against this European style that's throwing them off, Chance?
Their game, honestly, is just scary. I think the European style had a lot to do with breakout. Again, when you're pointing out that a player's using an ERAD the entire time, and that's something you've never seen before, it kind of gets in your head a little bit, and it's a different play style you're not used to. But the thing that worries me about LG, in that throwback, all 4 players went positive by a decent margin, like plus 15 kills, something like that for the entire team. And it was a 30-point game, not that far away. Now, they're playing E-United later tonight. E-United is the opposite. They'll have games where they don't even outslay their opponent, and they still dismantle them at hardpoint because of how well they play the maps. So you got that juggernaut slang power team going against a team who maybe not the best of the slang, although they're still pretty good, but they always play correctly.
It feels like United going up against Optic Gaming in the finals that we saw. That's what we will see when United plays LG, a very strong respawn slaying team. Officially, I got it from JPR Stats Guy. They went plus 21 in the final hardpoint, outslaying their opponents at the end. Series number 2 is in the books, and after our 2 matches, our 2 undefeated teams are E-United as well as Luminosity. When we come back, though, it's a battle of the Europeans, Millennium taking on Epsilon.